Hey people, it's Thirsty Thursday, 3 p.m. I'm late. Go figure. I am at a track meet, so I'm going to get my car and let's see if we can get Monica to join us. See if I can do this. I'm so bad with technology, you guys. Let's see. Yeah, I'm bad at this. Let's see if Monica will jump on here. Oh, goodness. Sorry, guys. Is Monica on? Okay, I'm gonna try something. I'll put you all on hold. I'll be right back. Let's see if Monica will jump on here. Oh, it's hot in here. One more second. Monica, are you here? I can't do that. Sorry, guys, I'm horrible at this. Okay, Monica, should be sending you a message. Are you there?
I'm here. Okay. So I had to join off of my phone, just so you know.
Oh, okay.
All right. So now we're on live. Oh, there we are.
I'm here.
All right. I'm going to shut my computer off because I got some lag time on it. So I'll just chat with you from my phone. How are you?
Good, how are you?
I am good. So, first of all, do you have questions you want to ask me?
Yes, I do. So my first we're gonna wing this because I have no idea. This is me like trying to figure things out. Tell us a little bit like who you are, what you do, your favorite things, or what you're passionate about. Just give us all the good stuff.
Okay. So, my name is Monica Prince. I have two grown sons and two grandchildren that, if nobody's at the point they have grandchildren yet, they don't know what a gift that is because you can love them as much as you want and give them back.
Love it.
It's kind of nice. So, I am a fifth generation on a seven generation cattle ranch in Montana. We own Hereford and Red Angus cattle, and I raise sheep. Um, my husband and I also own a trucking company, and I have an online business with Prove It, which is a health supplement company. So, I'm a little busy, and I do know a few things about setting some healthy boundaries, and I'm not probably the foremost on that subject. Um, but I learned something super cool that I want to share with the moms on here today. So
which I think is
there you go.
that's really awesome. Since it's Thirsty Thursday, I forgot to do this with Mary Beth West. I was like, yeah, what are we drinking?
So I'm actually drinking ketones right now. I strive to drink a gallon of water a day. And the reason I do that is because I started my health journey in 2018 by drinking. I was trying to drink half of my body weight in ounces of water, which, by the way, when you weighed as much as I do, or as I did, I couldn't drink that much. So I've actually lost 150 pounds, which is why I'm passionate about my product. And I never started my business as a business. I started it to share it with other women who are in the same situation that I was in. So
that's amazing. So
yeah, so
actually
half of your body weight
half your body.
in ounces of water daily is what you should strive for.
I've heard that, and I've tried to do that too, and you pee a lot.
So what is that saying? Drink more water, it keeps you out of other people's business. You're too busy in peeing or something. I don't know.
That's amazing.
I
I'm gonna have to remember.
mean, you literally don't have time to talk about other people because you're too busy using the bathroom.
Yeah. Oh,
Literally.
maybe I'll start doing that anyway. Like, I could stay out of a lot of trouble if I just,
Exactly.
stayed my own lane.
It's like, wait, I gotta pee. And it's a great way, speaking of setting boundaries, it's a great way to get out of a toxic conversation. You can just say, I drank a gallon of water today and I really need to pee. Excuse me.
I'm gonna use that. I could
First of
use
all,
that.
you're probably not lying, right? Because you probably really do need to pee.
Yes. Because when you do, like when you try to do that, that's a lot of water. That is a lot of water.
Yeah.
So my choice today was it's pineapple coconut water. I like the fizzy, and it's my go-to instead of drinking soda. So that's my drink of today. So.
Well, and you know what? If you can get rid of drinking soda being the one thing to get rid of, well, no, you should probably get rid of Monster energy drinks too, because they're really bad for you.
I don't do those. I can't.
I can't.
It makes me.
I can't smell them. They're like, okay, I'm not drinking that.
Right.
No, I'm not drinking that.
Yeah, that's not fair. That's fun stuff. All right, so let's get into this whole like boundaries thing, because I am all about it. I want to know more about it, because I think I could use it.
Okay, so I want to start with I was at a company event this weekend, and the president of our company was giving us this training and whatever, and he was talking about setting your own boundaries, right? So I want every mother on here to think about this. Did you know, we live in an agriculture community, right? So we all know what fleas are.
Yes.
Did you know that that a flea can jump like 24 to 36 inches straight up? Factual information.
Okay.
If you take a bunch of fleas and you stick them in a jar for 72 hours, they will only learn to jump as high as the lid on the jar. Okay?
Okay.
And even when you take the lid off, those fleas will still only jump to the height of that lid. But here's the interesting thing. You have already neuro encoded them so that their offspring also only jumps to the height of the lid.
Okay.
So when you think about your potential or your child's potential, What lid are you putting on your child? Because here's the scoop. Your child's only going to learn to jump to the height of the lid, but so is their child. So is every generation after that is only going to learn to jump to the height of the lid. And you literally can look this up on the internet. Check it out. Check it out. Some guy actually got paid to do a study on fleas.
Okay, I wish I was that.
Right? Now that's the first surprising thing. But are you neuroencoding your children to only jump to the height of the lid? And I'm not saying that maybe I didn't do that, because my kids are 24 and 27. So I've already done the damage there. Like, I always tell my kids, because they're growing, I'm like, I already screwed you up. Like, it's your job to fix it. Like, if you think that you can be a better parent than I was, then do it. Like, this is your opportunity to be the best person you can possibly be and pass that on to your child. Because I've already done my damage. I'm sorry, but you can only accuse me of whatever you want to accuse me until you're 18. And when you're 18, you can make your own decisions and you can go wherever and you can do whatever.
Yeah.
So maybe I have taken that lid off. I don't know. But think about that when you're setting the boundaries for your kids. Like, what are the boundaries are you setting? Are you telling them that they're brilliant? Are you telling them that they're smart? Are you telling them that they're capable of anything?
Mm-hmm.
And I get to the point with people telling girls that they are pretty and telling girls that they are beautiful, that we are setting them up for some standard that only exists in the person that's watching them's mind. Because what I find beautiful, other people might not find beautiful, right?
Mm-hmm.
I love Hereford Red Angus cattle. Do you know how many Black Angus people are out there in the world? Like, they don't want one of my red ones. So if you're telling your child that they're beautiful and that they're setting their standards based off of that, are they setting their standards based off of the beauty industry? Like, I don't know. I barely get up and brush my hair in the morning. So, I mean, no, these curls are actually mine. Like, exactly. And don't on your children are smart and they're strong and they can do anything. Tell your girls they're smart and they're strong and they can be an entrepreneur and they can make $1 million or they can run a marathon. I mean, I don't care what you tell them. Always make it positive so that we can take that lid off so that our children can grow to be abundant individuals. So there's my first boundary lesson. But okay, I don't think anybody can hear you because you're muted.
Can you hear me now?
There you go. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So it's funny. It's funny that that's the lesson that you are literally giving me, because I had a situation yesterday where I realized like I was probably putting a lid on my kid, and I was being self-reliant on myself and not thinking that I gave him enough of the tools that he needed to create his own boundaries or create his own ideas as to how to handle situations. And I thought, oh crap, I got to back up for a minute. And I've taught him everything I know. Okay, go forth and figure it out. If you don't like something, let's discuss it. But it's not my job anymore to tell you this is right, this is wrong, whatever. You got to figure the stuff out for yourself.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I don't know how old your kids are.
16, 14, and 11.
Okay. So I will tell you this about boys. It's a proven fact that boys' brains do not mature until they're literally like between 24 and 28, somewhere in there. They actually have disconnects in their brain. Like, girls mature between 19 and 23, their brains. So boys, you can go and say, why'd you do that? And they'll be like, well, I don't know. It's like, well, so what was the thought process there? Like, literally, they don't know.
Right.
Literally, they cannot tell you because they literally don't know. They just don't. So give your boys some grace, because sometimes they're dumb because they don't have any choice.
That's
They
good
just
to
don't.
know.
They just don't know.
Right.
Like literally, they literally just don't know. So anyway, all right. So I have some boundary conversations to have, because my mother-in-law, okay, let me backtrack. I was not the chosen daughter-in-law. Now, mind you, my husband's an only child. But I was not who they chose for him to marry. One, because I have a mouth, I have an opinion, I can stand on my own 2 feet. They didn't like any of that, And I tried for a very long time to get along and to go with the flow and to include her in everything, because my family was very inclusive. Like, we included everybody. We are a family. It's family first.
Right.
And we just accept people where they are, whatever. And then I figured out that she would tell my husband one thing and then she'd tell me something totally different. So when I pointed this out to my husband, he's like, and I said, why don't you ever stick up for me? And he said, well, because I've been her child. I've been with her for 20 years and I've only been with you for, like, I don't know, 18 months or something like that. To which I literally just looked at him and blinked. And I'm like, so if you're not planning on being with me for the next 20 years, maybe we should have that conversation. Like, maybe that's a conversation we should have now. And he's like, well, that's not what I meant. I said, but that's exactly what you said. Like, that's exactly what you said. So I just decided to remove myself from the conversations. Like, I don't have an opinion. You guys do whatever you want, whatever. And then I told him, after our kids got to be, I don't know, probably 4 and 6, I said, okay, maybe I've been the bitch. Maybe I'm the one who needs to, like, backtrack that, and I need to be more inclusive. That lasted about 6 hours until the same exact thing happened, and it flipped it right around, and I was getting the same deal. Like, except he was a lot smarter. He was a lot smarter because he knew we were on the same path, and he's like, oh, she's not even telling the truth. I'm like, that would be it. So instead of causing a huge family ruckus at Christmas, my family always does Christmas Eve, and then Tony and Peggy would come for Christmas Day activities. Well, conveniently enough, you know what happens the day after Christmas? Everybody goes shopping.
Right.
So I literally would tell them I'm going shopping. Now, mind you, I hate shopping. I have zero desire to shop, like none. Take my book. I would drive to Missoula, which was 60 minutes away, and I would sometimes sit in the car and book, because it was easier for me to allow them to have family time with the grandkids, and then I could come back, whatever, they would pack up and leave. But that was a boundary I set, and I did it because I couldn't handle the mental stress of the continual manipulation and lying. And my kids never really got, I mean, your kids can be manipulated, but not in 2 days.
Right.
Like, they were solid on every single day of what we were doing and how they should act and what they should do and all of that. So instead of me saying, you don't have access to your only child and you don't have access to his children, I just removed myself from the situation so that I could deal with it. But the boundary was already set with Frank when I told him, look, I can't do this, but this is what I'm going to do. Now, mind you, it took him about 5 years to realize that I never bought anything. He'd be like, well, I thought you were going shopping. So then about 5 years in, he's like, what exactly are you doing? I'm like, reading my book. And he's like, oh, smart move. But he was never in the house. He was feeding cows. He was outside working, doing whatever. So he never had to deal with it.
Right.
So that is, and I will tell you this, that the thing that it has taught me the most is how to set the boundary with my own children. I did not raise my kids to have to continue to raise them. I
Yeah.
did not raise my kids to have to continue to mother them. Granted, I can still go like this to my kids because they know if I ever got to 3, I was probably going to paddle their ass. But I can still go like this to my adult children, and they'll kind of look at me and then go, "Yeah, right, mom. Okay." It'd take you in an army to spank me at this point, right?
Right.
So it is kind of funny, but when they got married, that's their life, and it has taught me how to be a better mother-in-law. Because my daughter-in-laws will literally call me and be like, "Hey, you want to go have lunch? Hey, you want to go do this?" And all three of us go together and we do stuff together because we're friends. Because the boundary between my family has already been set. I'm not their mother. I don't mother them. They are old enough to mother themselves. They're old enough to do their own laundry. They're old enough to clean their house. They're old enough. That's not me. So that boundary's already been set. So anyway, that's my family boundary conversation
Mm-hmm.
that I think it's important to set those boundaries, and it's important to figure out how to set those boundaries and
So here's
still allow them to have access.
right. So here's my question. So pulling yourself, like realizing, like pulling yourself away, and going, reading your book and whatever else. How? Because like I feel guilty sometimes. Like, how did you ever feel guilty, and how do you get over the guilt of like setting that boundary? Does that make sense?
So what do you feel guilty about?
That I have removed myself from the situation where I feel like I probably.
Okay, you're back. Now you're muted again. You're still muted. You're there. I can see you, but I cannot hear you.
Okay.
Okay, can you talk?
Idea what happened. Let's see if we can get Monica back. Do I have anybody? Sorry, guys, this is crazy. Anybody there? I hate technology.
I actually wish I was much smarter about this. This is why I love my daughter-in-laws, because I'm like, fix this. Like, fix this. I can't do it. Fix it.
Right. Okay, we were talking about like setting the boundary. So like you set the boundary, you removed yourself from the situation or whatever. So I've thought about like doing that myself. My family was very inclusive too. And there are just certain things that sometimes I feel guilty for unincluding myself, maybe. That's what it is.
Why?
Because I'm not there for my kids and my husband.
Are they wanting you there?
Honestly,
Like,
I don't know.
like,
I don't know.
I guess the only reason that I would feel guilty is if my kids said, I wish you would come.
Okay.
If my husband said, I really want you to be there.
Mm-hmm.
Because you have to understand, for men, it's totally different than it is for women.
Mm-hmm.
Women can be a whole bunch of catty little women.
Right.
Men don't even think like that.
Right. You're right. They don't. They don't.
Men don't think like that. They don't hear it the same way. They don't like they don't get it.
Mm-hmm.
And so, sometimes I think sometimes that makes me mad. I literally
Yeah.
had to ask my husband the other day. We've been married for 31 years. I said, look, I just want your support on this one thing. Like, don't ask me why I reacted the way I did. I have my reasonings. If we get home and you want to ask me that, that's fine. But the way you visualize those conversations coming across and the way they're actually meant are two totally different things. Two totally different things. And he's like, all right, done. Like, it was that easy because he knows that we don't think alike. Honestly, that's why third world countries are the way they are, is because men and women do not think alike, and they only use half of their brain power. They suppress the other half of it. That's why third world countries are the way they are. If they would use all the brain power that they have available, they would be much further ahead. Here's an example. My husband had his shoulder operated on. He told me, I'm going to take the dogs to the vet because I was out working, and I'm like, okay, well, whatever. We were trying to load the dog box, and I'm like, I literally can't pick up my half, let alone my half and half of your half. It's too heavy. And I said, here, I'll get it loaded. And he goes, I don't know how you're going to do this by yourself. I said, I will show you how I'm going to load it by myself. And I went and got 2 long boards, laid them down, shoved the dog box in. And I'm like, and he goes, never would have thought of that. I'm like, no kidding. No kidding. Because we have to figure out how to use our leverage, because we're not as strong as they are. But that's men and women don't think alike. We just don't we don't even problem solve the same. But if your husband is saying, I really wish you would come, then there's probably a reason to be there. However, if your children ever say, Mom, I want to stay home with you, it's not only a toxic situation for you, it's a toxic situation for them. Okay. So allow them the grace of staying home.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like,
I do.
Because where your mind goes is where energy flows. So if you're in a negative situation or you're constantly thinking negative thoughts. Okay, so say you're short $100 and you're like, oh my God, I'm not going to make it for the rest of the month, and I'm short $100, and then this could happen and that could happen and this could happen and that could happen. I guarantee something's going to happen. and it's
You're
not
right.
going to be positive, because
Right.
where your mind goes, energy flows. So if you're thinking, okay, I'm short $100, I'll make it up by the end of the month, everything will be okay, I'm making positive moves forward, something's going to happen to allow you to make positive moves forward.
Right.
So I wouldn't even feel guilty about it. And sometimes you have to
Right.
protect your inner peace so that you can be there for your family.
You're right. Yeah, you do. Because if you're so busy thinking about other things, you kind of forget about them and stuff falls off your plate. And then you're in a horrible mood because it all just kind of fell to crap.
Right. And you get sucked down that. And living in small towns, let me tell you what, if you want to find out what you're doing tomorrow, ask your neighbor, because I'm sure he already knows.
Yeah. Yeah.
Our hometown has 300 people in it. Okay. I was just gone at a conference for almost a week, and my husband calls me and he goes, "Oh, before you find out," and we go to one local bar. Like there's two of them in town, but we only go to one of them. And he goes, "Oh, well, before you find out," he goes, "Apparently I was in an altercation while you've been gone." I'm like, "You were in an altercation with who?" And he goes, "I don't have any idea," but he goes, "That's the rumor downtown." I'm like, "Oh my God, I leave you for 5 days and you can't even behave."
That's so funny. Yeah.
It's
Small town
this,
America is interesting.
it is. And it's truly because they haven't taken the lid off the jar.
Right.
Like nobody realizes that if you think you're stuck here, it's because you've already put yourself in the mind that you're stuck here.
Yeah.
Like take that boundary away and allow your kids to explore. Now, I'm not the one that will tell you to go have your children go become doctors and lawyers and make $1 million and move off the family farm, because my two kids are living here and making a living and working off the ranch and on the ranch because this is what they want and this is how they want to raise their kids. And if we don't encourage our children to come back, there isn't going to be a family farm anywhere in the United States. So
Right.
I recommend encouraging your children to be smart, be strong, be courageous, and come home.
Yeah.
That's my deal.
Yeah.
So, small town America boundaries. I have stepped away from any circle that is negative. And it's taken me a long time to get to this place. And I wish I would have done this years ago when my kids were in school, because as you know, having high schoolers in small town America, um, if you have the number one wrestler on the team, every other parent, well, not every other parent, but there's a lot of parents out there saying, well, they only like Monica's kid because she packs all the lunches. That doesn't have anything to do with it. Like he worked his ass off to get there. So I wish that I could have stepped away sooner and just went, whatever. You guys talk about whatever. Because my kid's going to do his own thing, and high school is not the last thing he's ever going to do, because there's a whole big wide
What?
world out there.
Are you serious?
Right? See? That's exactly the small town mentality. Like, this, he's going to be the football star and he's going to do this. And it's like, maybe he's going to be a rocket scientist and then we'll have something to celebrate.
Yeah.
Like, this is high school football.
Yeah. Little itty bitty tiny town football. High school football.
So, if I would have learned this, and I learned this when my oldest child had graduated from high school. My youngest child taught me a lot of humility. Let's just put it that way. And I love him dearly. But when he was 19, we were sitting at the table one night and he goes, "Mom, I have something to tell you." And he was with his girlfriend. And I'm like,
Oh, shit.
okay. Well, I'm not dumb. Like,
Right.
I'm not dumb. And he just keeps talking. And his poor girlfriend's just looking at me. And I'm like, and he goes, "Mom, I want to tell you this. And I'm only going to tell you once." And I'm like, "Okay, so tell me." And he goes, "I just want to thank you." And I'm like, okay, for what? And he's like, for sticking with me because I know it would have been easier to walk away. And
Oh,
I just was like, well, shit, Garrett. I said, I didn't know that was an option. Like, I should have told me that a couple years ago.
you're like, oh, I had that option. What do you
Yeah.
mean?
I mean, I didn't know that was an option. I said, well, just so you know, I lost 2 years of sleep out of my life. Because, I mean, he was sneaking out of his house, going and hanging out with his friends, failing out of school because he was just being rotten.
Yeah.
And yeah, he taught me a lot of humility. But what he also taught me was that the people that I thought were my friends really weren't there for me when I needed them. They
Right.
really only wanted to be friends with me because I had the perfect first child. And believe you me, he's not perfect, but like one of the stars of the football team, literally one of the top of the wrestling team, um, had a 3.25 GPA all the way through high school because it was easy. And it really wasn't easy. He could con the teachers into not having to take the test for any of the class. So, I mean, I don't really know that he was that smart. But
Oh, that's pretty
um,
smart though. I mean, I'm gonna like if you could talk a teacher out of taking a test.
his classmates thought he was brilliant. They were
Yeah.
like, if we ever wanted to not do something, we just had to ask Peyton, and he would just convince the teachers that we didn't need to do it. And I'm like, I'm not sure that's a great attribute, but okay.
Right.
Anyway, so my second one taught me a lot of humility, but what he also taught me was literally how to set the boundaries and walk away. Because I set the
Yeah.
boundaries with one of my very good friends, and who I thought was a very good friend of mine, and I literally walked away because you're not allowed to talk about my child. You're not allowed to give me parenting advice. Um, you're not allowed to tell the rest of the parents what a bad kid he was because he really wasn't a bad kid. But what happens
Right.
is if you get a bad kid, if you get a bad kid, and all the good parents take all their good kids away, then he has no one else to hang out with,
Right.
right? So she actually made me angry enough that I walked away.
Mm-hmm.
I walked away. And I set the boundary of you do not talk about my child. You do not gossip about my family. None of that. And in small town America, that's very, very difficult. But here's the news flash. Take the lid off the jar
Yeah.
because there are people all over, all across the world looking for friends, looking for a community, looking for somebody they can talk to, just looking for that. And guess what? They know no one in your local community.
Right.
Like, I don't know anybody in your hometown.
Right.
Do you know anybody in my hometown?
Nope.
Like,
Yeah.
here's a community. Like, right here in this group is a community. And I think that everybody gets in the habit of if somebody says, okay, well, I caught my kid out drinking last night and they were doing X, Y, and Z. Even in these types of communities, people are going to come back and say, how did you know your kid wasn't, how did you know your kid was drinking? How come you didn't know where they were at? Whatever. How do you know that I'm not working 18 hours a day and I'm freaking exhausted because I'm trying to pay the rent?
Right. Right.
Like,
Right.
none of us should stand in judgment of anybody else. But it took for something to happen for me to realize that if she was going to talk, and I hindsight 2020, I should have known this because she loves talking about everybody.
Yeah, and if she's talking about everybody, she's probably talking about me. You're right.
Exactly. Exactly. And so, literally, if somebody comes up to me and says, well, you know what Bobby Sue did? I'd be like, nope, don't know. Not sure I care. Not sure
Yeah.
I care.
Right.
Somebody messaged me a while ago and they were like, well, did so and so get a divorce? I don't know. I'm not living in their household. Ask me if I care. I
Well,
don't
and
know.
don't ask me. Go ask them. If you're that curious, go ask them.
Yeah.
They got
If you're
the answer.
if you're gutsy enough to want to know, go ask them. I literally don't know and don't care.
Yeah.
I'm not divorced.
Right.
I would care if I would care, I guess, if it was my kids. But then again, I'm not really sure I would. I've already told my boys that if they get divorced, I'm keeping the girls.
Well, see, you set that boundary already. It's
Yeah.
there. They already
Yeah.
know.
So
They
they
already know.
can figure it out. They better
Right.
figure out where they're living too. Anyway, those are my cliff notes on setting boundaries. And I think that, like, everybody feels guilty about having boundaries, right? And I know for young women living in agriculture communities that we're all desperate for friends.
Right.
Like, like you're desperate for friends, especially if you have little kids and your kids aren't in social activities because you're stuck at home.
Yeah.
But if you're stuck on this phone listening to you and I talk,
Yeah.
you have the capability of reaching out to someone.
Right. Well, and that's kind of why I built this community. I knew I couldn't do it by myself. So why not build a community of women, of like-minded women?
Right.
And girls have become friends. I have a friend that lives in Canada, have never met her in person, but I chat with her on the phone all the
Right.
time. I video
Right.
chat with her on the phone all the time. Like
Right.
it is. You just like you gave me this epiphany. I sit at games, football games, basketball games. I sit at games by myself. And I've had my own little pity party. Like, I'm always trying to find people to sit with. That's so dumb. I'm having a good time. I'm there for my kid. I'm not there for anybody
Right.
else. And besides, they're probably going to talk to me, and I'd rather watch my kid play than talk to them anyway.
Well, then, are you going to have a conversation about something that's worth having a conversation about?
Oh,
Or
yeah,
are they going to
no.
have a conversation about somebody else?
Yeah, it's always about somebody else.
So, like, that's the boundary that you've already set.
Yeah. Yeah. How come boundaries are like, when you think about them, it's so simple to like actually do, but then it's like so hard to do. Like, you're saying things and I'm going, well, yeah, why would I feel bad about that? Or why do I put myself in these situations that I don't really want to be in anyway?
Because you feel guilty.
Yeah, and it's not a thing because they don't,
Right.
don't feel guilty.
Nope.
They don't feel
No.
guilty because
No.
if they did, they would come sit next to me at
Right.
wherever. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, they don't feel guilty.
Right. Yeah.
This is
Exactly. And
like the
so
best conversation ever. This is like therapeutic. This is amazing.
there you go. Sometimes you just need to talk to somebody who's already navigated those waters.
Right. And it's hard to do at the beginning, but it obviously gets easier.
Yeah, absolutely. It gets easier. It gets easier, but then you get more self-confident and you also know that you have a world out there of other people because you've already taken your lid off.
Yeah.
Like you've already taken your lid off and you know that there's a community of people out there that are worthwhile that want to talk to you. And they don't, quite frankly, they don't care that your kid's the football captain.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. And that you're right. I mean, and that's kind of why I was like, you know what? On Thursdays, this is what we're gonna
Yeah.
do. Because there's these nuggets, man. There are these nuggets that people have that I want to share and I want to show and whatever else. And so when you came up with stuff, I was like, heck yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we could talk about these things.
Well, and we should, I mean, somebody should talk about generational ranching. It's not easy.
Oh yeah,
Somebody
I
should,
totally like there's all sorts of stuff. Next week I think we're going to talk to Heather, and she's kind of into I might say this wrong, like helping people like pass the farm down and that type of stuff and whatever
succession.
else. So
Yeah.
yeah, there's all of these little nuggets. We have all of these great women out here that can just help do things and help all of us out, whether it's their business, whether it's their knowledge, whatever it is. Like, I just want to soak all of that in. So this has been awesome.
I'm glad you invited me. I had a good time. So if you can come up with something else, I don't mind going live. I can chat with people all day long.
I think it is amazing. We will definitely, we'll have to have you back because we might need like a refresher.
A refresher on how to set boundaries.
Yeah.
I am actually pretty good at it because here's something else that young women need to learn. It really doesn't matter what anybody else thinks about you. It only matters what you think.
Yeah.
And people, opinions are like assholes. Everybody has one.
Everybody has one.
Like,
yeah.
And not all of them are pretty. So I'm just saying, and not that I've looked at a lot of them.
Oh my gosh,
But
I love it.
it's just one of those things. Like, if you hear somebody talking smack about you, who cares?
Right.
They're not your people anyway.
Yeah,
Go
you wouldn't
find
hang out
your
with them anyway.
people.
Yeah.
Like, go find your people.
Yeah.
And your people from town don't understand our lives.
Right. Well, and I
just
had an aunt, and she was so funny. She said one time, she goes, "You know what?" She goes, "If they're talking about you, you must be really interesting." I was
well,
like, "Dang, girlfriend, you're right. I am interesting. They should
and
be talking about me."
I always just say, you know what? If they're talking about me, at least they're not talking about somebody who can't handle it.
Right.
And I can really give people something to talk about.
I love how you're just teaching us how to like flip the script. It's all about the script, right?
It is.
Like, instead of reading left to right, let's read right to left.
Yes.
Just
instead of seeing the negative in every single thing.
Yeah.
And I'm not telling you that every day I wake up and feel positive, but I can catch myself and go, oh, I need to think about this. I need to readjust this conversation and think about this because I need to be more positive.
Right.
It's all about your perspective.
Yep. You got to take care of your own perspective.
Yep. And you and your family come first. That's just the way it is.
I love it. Well, thank you so very much for coming and hanging out with me and dealing with all my technical difficulties and all.
That's
all
okay, but I will
stuff.
tell you for the next time, whoever joins you, they need to hit the little live chat button.
Okay.
Because I could watch you live, but then you have to hit the live chat button and ask if you can join. That was on my part.
Gotcha. Okay.
There's your key.
Yeah. I like that. That's perfect. We will definitely do it. So thank you so much for spending time with me today. I really do appreciate it.
All right. Have a great day and do something good for you.
Yes, ma'am. I'll get on it.
Chat later.
All right. Bye-bye.